Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Tom Stewart here. This is Smart Business Moves, and we have a plethora of guests today. I have my partner here, Liz Trotter, and our guests are Debbie Sardone and Shawn Day, and we're going to be talking about some really cool stuff today about an upcoming program which you guys all need to know about. Debbie, Shawn, how the heck are you guys?
Doing great. Love that you have a plethora of guests today. So, Shawn, you and I are a plethora, and it sounds good.
Yeah, I think it sounds good. I'd have to look it up. Tom gets these words sometimes that I just am not in the same world with, but it's good to be on, especially with this elite group.
Woohoo! And we're going to be doing it again in just 10 days, right?
Wow, yeah, March 1st is tomorrow. Wow, yeah.
I cannot believe it. So tomorrow's our lucky day, right? The luck of the Irish, March. And 10 days after March 1st passes, we're going to have this amazing hiring boot camp. Couldn't come at a more timely point in most cleaning business owners' lives. And our wonderful host, ARCSI, through the miracle of ISSA, is bringing this great information to the cleaning industry.
Yay. I was hoping that Erin would be on here today, but it looks like she might have gotten busy. Hey, Denise. We haven't talked a lot about this boot camp yet, so I'm excited to talk about it. But Tom, we should probably talk at least a couple minutes about what's going on out there in the world. Anything that we're running into one thing, and I don't know if the rest of you guys are running into this, but there is a lot of stress going on right now out in the world. And so we're running into some anxiety type issues with some of the people that we work with. And are you guys running into that as well? I mean, a little bit of people are stressed out.
You know, it's almost like recently I went outside and I checked for a full moon, because it's like all of a sudden, Shawn, you've probably seen the same thing. It's like all of a sudden, and one of our CBF members said to me Friday, she said, it's like only the crazy people are applying, just people with drama and crazy stuff. And just, it's so hard to find people that are just normal and stable right now. And it's a full moon. But every day, all month.
Yeah, it's weird real quickly that, you know, through all the things that we've all been through in the country recently, a lot of our job candidates had a ton of money put in their savings accounts not long ago that they aren't used to, which feels pretty good. To all of a sudden the Russian stuff going on in Ukraine, to the money's no longer coming in like it was. And that creates a lot of stress for a lot of good people too, not just people that are, you know, lazy.
And inflation, not to mention
gas pricing and food.
I just checked this morning, inflation is 7.5%. And, you know, prices go up much faster than they go down in the economy. So that's adding all this stress for people who use their vehicles for jobs. And it's just making it hard for business owners. It's making it hard for the hourly wage earner. You know, the wealthy people do just fine during recessions and during inflation, but it's the people that work hourly who live paycheck to paycheck. They're the ones that struggle during this time.
Yeah, it's a tough time. And definitely with the Ukraine situation, I think that's adding just a whole new level of anxiety. People kind of had this idea that, okay, COVID's starting to go away now, that everything's lightening up, and then bam, with this, right?
Yeah.
It's a good segue in one of the things that I'll talk about, and I'll let Debbie take it from here, or Liz. Mindset and perceptions is a big thing I talk about in the things I do on a daily basis. It's a huge thing I've started to talk about over the last just few months, actually. So that kind of plays into all the things that we're facing in the country right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we all talk about mindset a lot. I mean, that's a common theme. It's underpinning everything else, right? If your mindset is
exactly
not in the best spot, nothing's going to be.
right.
So Tom, I can tell you're going to share something really smart with us.
It's just, well, I don't know about that, but I share your concern, Debbie. This inflation thing is becoming a bigger and bigger issue. And as employers of, hourly higher workforce, I mean, everybody's gotten some pretty significant raises compared to what their salaries were a couple of years ago. But I think you go to the grocery store, and I think that those raises have been gone plus some, just between gasoline and food. And the benefits that Shawn was referring to, like the child tax credit went away at the end of December, and that was an extra $300 to $250 per child for a number of people working for us. And yeah, maybe that kept some people out of the workforce, but it also allowed people who are in the workforce working for us to, kind of keep things going in the household a little bit better. So
To
put all that
survive.
together, right?
To survive, they may have a spouse who's been laid off, a spouse who worked at a restaurant who no longer is working, and now they're paying more at the pump, they're paying more at the grocery store, they've lost their child care credit. The stress is pretty intense.
And it is really a hard thing. It doesn't take very long to get used to having this extra money and to have that be part of now what we need to survive. We kind of got used to spending this extra money. So these people that have been families that have been getting this childcare credit and now it's just gone, it's not the same as just not having ever had it. It's much worse than getting it and now it's gone.
If you think of what a 20-some-year-old and 30-year-old person has gone through, to nothing of their fault, they could have lost their job for the very first time in their lives over COVID, and it was nothing they did. It just happened. Then they got some money coming in, perhaps a lot of them did. Then what happened was that raise went away. And this is the first time they've experienced this in their lives. I remember waiting in line for gasoline in the 70s and things like that. And I remember.
Yeah, you remember
get
that?
out of here.
I didn't know you were old enough to remember that.
Sure. Do you remember all that?
I'm not old enough to remember. I just heard about it.
That's why I mentioned it. I know you don't know about it. That's why I mentioned it.
It's so true. And that's why, as employers, right? I mean, we are what makes this engine run in this great country we're in, is we are providing jobs. And that's why it's so important that as the world changes on us and as the economy changes on us and the needs of the workforce change, because they have been changing, and I call it the speed of change. It's moving faster than we've ever seen it as entrepreneurs. I've never seen stuff change and move this fast.
That's true.
We had better be agile. We had better pivot. We had better be sensitive to what's going on in the market and improve our job offers and improve our work experience and the work environment that we create, or people are going to jump on that great resignation train and jump ship and go somewhere else where people appreciate them, where people pay them wages that they can pay their car payment and pay their rent, buy their groceries. And if we don't take good care of our employees, we're going to watch them go jump into some other place. It may not be better, but they're trying to improve their lives and stabilize their home life. And we're a part of that solution, or we can be a part of that stress and that problem.
And Debbie, you said something that is really great that I don't think a lot of people have really put their finger on yet. They're going to jump. It might not even be to a better place, but they're just going to keep looking and jumping because they're sure that it's out there, which is a different situation.
They've been told by the media and everybody else, the grass is greener on the other side, the great resignation. And so if we don't provide wonderful, well-watered grass on our side, people are going to try to improve their lives. A lot of people in our industry complain. Nobody wants to work, right? And the truth is, those same people that don't want to work didn't want to work before the stimulus money, and they didn't want to work before the pandemic, and they weren't working back then. People who have made a lifestyle of not working and just getting by through subsidies and entitlements, they're not coming to work for you. Why are you trying to find a way to get them to work for you? But the people that do need to work and want to work, it's on us to find them and win them, which is why we're doing this ARCSI boot camp. It's on us to create the kind of job that they will raise their hand for and say, I'll do that job.
So
And
let's talk.
Go ahead, Shawn. What were you
Very
saying?
quickly, I want to get everybody's quick opinion on, based on everything we just talked about, do you still put a lot of emphasis and value to looking to see if somebody's a job hopper? Because a lot of things have created job hoppers out of good people. Love to hear your opinion on that.
So I
Well,
don't.
yeah. Okay. So Liz doesn't. We do, but it's one of the factors. It's not the only factor. But yes, we do look at job history. I do still feel job history repeats itself, but there are other factors. You can't just have one knockout question unless you're having so many amazing candidates. Fine, then. Right? Of course, when you use a service like Blue Skies, you're going to bring me more candidates where I can be choosier, correct? And I can say, all things considered, all things equal, no thank you on the job hopper, yes to the other. But when you have 3 candidates and you're desperate with 3 openings, you're going to take whatever you can get. And I'm not saying Liz would, but I'm saying that's still part of our process, our vetting.
Well, and also, Debbie, to your exact point, if I do have many more applicants coming in, I'm not going to pick the job hopper if I have somebody who's not a job hopper.
Exactly.
It's just that why would I?
Right. It's one factor. It's one factor. It's got a lot of weight, but it's not the only thing.
Yeah. And I think that the weight, I think that's the question that I was answering.
Mm-hmm.
The weight is much different now than it ever has been in the past.
Yeah.
It is.
And I also think, based on both of your answers, that this is another reason for the boot camp, because there's not one single way to recruit, period, end of story. If you don't, you're never going to hire a good person. You've got 2 people, Liz and Debbie, that answered a little bit differently, but there's still fundamental principles, I think, that you need to adhere to in any economy, any labor market, any inflationary, whatever it is. But there's also a couple of things you need to change, to Debbie's point, and be agile about.
Okay, so we've been into this for about 15 minutes now, and I think that we've mentioned boot camp maybe a dozen times. And I guess I'm the only person here that doesn't know anything about the boot camp. So can you guys?
Well,
let
I
me in
am
on the
ready to
secret?
tell you. I have, Tom, you're going to love this, and anybody on your team that hires, right? And anybody that's listening today should be on this boot camp. So Shawn and Liz Trotter and myself are going to kick off the day 1 of the ARCSI hiring boot camp. It starts March 10th. It's a half a day. It's from 1 p.m. Eastern time to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And that's part 1. Part 1. We're going to do a part 2, May 12th. So about a month, 2 months later. So part 1 is 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to focus on hiring the best. So the things that Shawn was just talking about, and the things that Liz was just talking about, that's what we're going to focus on part 1. Now, that'll give you a couple months to practice. And then on May 12th, we're going to come back and finish it with part 2, the ARCSI hiring boot camp. And from 1 to 4 again on May the 12th, we're going to focus on retaining the best. Because it doesn't help you grow your company if you hire great people and they're running out the back door every 3, 6, 9 months, right? So how to hire the best, part 1, March 10th, how to retain the best, May 12th. So
Okay.
I was waiting for that chance to talk about it.
We're sharing. I'm sharing my screen here. It's on arcsy.org. I'll drop that. And they've got it from 1 to 5 Eastern here, Debbie. You think maybe they slipped an
You
extra
are
hour?
correct. No, you are correct. I forgot to change that. It's 1 to 5 Eastern. I was thinking Central. So you're right. 1 to 5 Eastern time. Correct.
And
And
Thank
10
you.
to 2 for those of y'all over on my time zone, 10 to 2. And
Yep.
so for you mountain folks, Colorado, all y'all, that's 11 to
11.
3, right? So
Yep.
you guys need to be available 11 to 3. And then we've got our central people down there. Who's central?
New, that's me, Central Time Zone, noon to 4, which is why I had it wrong in the wrap up time, but noon to 4 for the Central Time Zone people. I'm going to be kicking off the very first talk with how to find and hire A players. Period. A players. If we don't find good people, then we don't really need to retain them, do we? Right? So how to find A players. In fact, we know what a C player looks like. We're so happy when they leave, even though it's mixed emotions.
Right.
And then Shawn's going to help us by sharing. I love this, Shawn. The secret to how he hired over 40 employees last year. Is that correct, Shawn? 40
At one location, 40.
in
but
one location.
We've hired well over 100 throughout this couple companies that we have.
Wow. So really, how his formula has helped him hire over 100 people. And that's for growth, not replacing people running out the back door. And then Liz is going to help us by sharing what she's doing using DISC. So those DISC assessments for how to recruit, interview, hire, and onboard. So this kind of information is worth tens of thousands of dollars from experts that are using this information to grow their companies. So guys, don't miss it, especially March 10th. Join us.
Yeah.
so go to artsy.org, and if you scroll down right here and you click on the link, it'll take you to this form. It looks like this is a Zoom registration form. Is there a fee associated with this program?
I believe there's a discount, a substantial discount for ARCSI members. It's a little bit higher price point for non-members.
Okay.
I forgot to look that up.
And Aaron said that if any, I didn't even see a price on there.
I don't see a price. And this is like a Zoom form. Heck, I'm just going to sign up.
Yeah, sign up and see if it takes you to a pay now link or if this is a freebie from ARCSI.
Let's find out. I thought it was a freebie.
See, this is live registration right here.
Yeah, this is it. Here you go. I have a link.
There you go.
And I
Even
didn't pay a
better.
nickel.
Thank you, Tom. It's free, guys. Here's the thing. Some of you are like, oh, crap, I'll be cleaning at that time. Hello, you need this so you can hire. If you're cleaning at that time, schedule yourself off. You have plenty of time to make that happen and be on this call.
I think it's free for RC and maybe $99, I think, for non-members of RC.
So if you're not logged in as an ARCSI member, then you may have a small fee, but I'm telling you, it's worth every penny to help you solve some of these big issues.
Just so okay. I may
Tom,
be
were you
logged in.
were you logged in as an ARCSI member? Yeah, I don't think there's a fee.
Okay, then it's a freebie.
Wow.
Yeah.
And if not, Shawn will cover your fee. So if it's not free,
Just in the build of Shawn.
Yeah. That was Shawn Jones over in Illinois.
Yeah, somebody is saying here that it's free for members.
Yeah. I don't know why we're not better prepared, but we will be by tomorrow's
phenomenal.
interview with ISSA tomorrow, won't we, Shawn?
Yes, we will.
So if that is you, Aaron, tell us what we're doing wrong here. Why were we able to register for free here? What are we missing out on?
Must be an RC member, maybe. I don't know.
So
Well,
you guys aren't as prepared as we on Smart Business Moves, how we're
Clearly.
always prepared. Yeah.
Clearly, I'm telling you, that is so true.
What time did you guys get your link to be on this show today?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't going to kiss and tell.
No. You know half the story.
So while we're trying to figure that out, do you want to hear some of the topics? I can share a little bit about my topic. Liz, you can share a little bit about what you're going to cover. Shawn, you can share what you're going to cover, but is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds great.
So one of my favorite topics is how to find and hire A players, because everybody knows how to find the knuckleheads. We're really good at that, and hiring them and keeping them too long and tolerating them way beyond what we should have. But how do we find A players? So first part of this, I'm going to discuss and share the myth of the Great Resignation and how to actually find people to work, right? So number one, it's not true. Nobody wants to work. And number two, the Great Resignation isn't what you think. And then number two, I'm going to cover building your best team, how to improve your candidate pool now, especially if you're working with a great service like Blue Skies, but how to, and even if you're not using an outside service to help you with your candidate pool, how to build your best team, how to improve your candidate pool right away. So like as soon as you hang up from the Zoom call, you can begin to put your steps in action and start working those steps the very next day. And then number three, I'm going to cover say yes to the job, kind of like say yes to the dress. So say yes to the job, how to get the good ones to show up, how to get those good ones to show up. Because how many of us were all excited after an interview? Oh my gosh, she's going to work out. She's going to be amazing. And then Monday, she's a no-show, no call. So say yes to the job. That's what I'm covering, Liz.
Yay. That's awesome. How about you, Shawn? You're up right after Debbie, right?
I think so. Yeah. So just as we talked about, I'm literally just going to take you through how we hired 100 people, over 100 people for our business last year alone. And you know, it's literally taking you step by step. Do with it as you wish, but it worked really, really good for us and hundreds of our clients as well. And so one of the things, you know, I'm going to talk about, or three of them, is basically the mindset and perceptions. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to talk about automating your recruiting system, I think is critical. And then a new way that we interview. We just started this last year and are mind boggled on how successful it was. And I promise you, it is nothing that you do. It's extreme, out of the box, yet very, very successful mindset. Literally, specifically, what I'm talking about, what our mindset is when we look to hire at our cleaning companies for Blue Sky Services, exactly what it is and how we changed it and what we changed, how we think differently. You know, the one piece of data that you need to uncover, that's going to be the one thing you need to uncover when you are dealing with candidates. And I'll show you how we uncover it. Liz will talk about the DISC profile, which is extremely important, but I'm talking about one thing you need to uncover that will absolutely
but don't tell me now. I want it to be a surprise when we hear it on the time.
So you're telling me,
I ain't saying a word yet.
I need my COO on there. Liz needs her COO or office manager. Tom needs his COO or office manager on there, because if we miss this one thing, we're going to be up the creek. We're going to have our team there. I can't wait.
And the last thing I'm going to talk about is I'm going to go into the interview process and how we do interviews. And I will drop a secret. It's all about group interviews, but that's just a small part of it. It's a completely different way of interviewing. And I'll leave you with this. It's the biggest sale of your life.
I love it.
Oh, nice.
So Shawn, some people are thinking group interviews, I can't even get one to show up. So this is really powerful stuff, guys. We're talking tactical, tangible things you can write down and go implement the very next day. We're not talking fluff here. Of course, there's some mindset stuff, but there's tactical, tangible things that they can actually take away and implement immediately to get better results. I can't wait to hear this.
I know, me too. I'm desperate for the one piece of data. I'm just thinking, hey, Shawn, sidebar on Facebook. Yeah, you'll give me that in advance.
Yeah,
I would.
Liz is like, call Mindy right now and have a little chat.
That's right. We need to jump on that right now. All right. Well, I am going to be coming in with DISC, and there are a few things that I want people to walk away with as well. And the first thing that I want is for people to be able to figure out who the right people are for your company. Not my company, not Debbie's company, not Shawn's, not Tom's, but your company. Because who you need is not the same as who I need. You have different requirements, different needs, different culture. You have different things in your company than I do, and you need different people. So I'm going to show you how to figure out who you need to hire so that when you're using all of these great strategies that Debbie and Shawn have, that you're able to hone in on the right people for your company. That's going to be huge for everybody. I hope you guys get that. Making sure that you're getting the right people for you is not the same. Similar to my answer and Debbie's answer around the question of, do you look for people that are job hoppers or not? Why do we have different answers? We're both hiring, both been doing this for 3 decades now.
Both successful. We both have big companies, but we're not a one size fits all. And the profiles that you're going to be sharing are really going to reflect the kind of company you've created, right? One company that pretty much is winging everything is definitely going to appeal to one type of person. The company that's highly structured and has lots of policies and a lot of systems is going to appeal to a different person. And I can't wait for that talk, Liz. That is just so relevant for today.
Well, and that really goes to my next point, Debbie, of creating the best environment for the people that you hire. So if you know that you only have a certain type of people that are coming through your doors based on whatever it is that you're doing, do you have the
attracting that you're attracting?
Yeah, absolutely. It is going to be attracting, right? Shawn's going to hit on that. So do you have the environment that is going to support those people when they come in? If you are struggling, if you have people that no call, no show your job, you need to hear this. There's a reason why people no call, no show a job. And it's not just because, to Debbie's point, that they don't want to work. That's not why. And so we're going to be sharing that little piece with you about the best environment that you need to have in your company.
Well, Liz, that's another cliffhanger teaser that it's like, I have to be on there because I have nonstop struggles with the no calls and the no shows. And if Liz just gives us one nugget to address that, that could be a game changer for the whole day right there.
Absolutely. If you're struggling with that, you need to be on the boot camp because we're going to solve that for you. And then the last thing that I'm going to be talking about is the 3 things similar to the one piece of data that Shawn has for you, the 3 things that you must do during your orientation to make sure that your people are going to, because we definitely want to get those right people, but I'm setting it up for the May 12th event so that you can retain them. So what are the 3 things that you have to do in orientation to prep you to keep those people? All right.
Wow. So it's not a one size fits all. We're not looking just to hire successfully. We're looking for proper fit. Just like I don't want every single customer who calls me. I only want the good fit customers. And what you're describing is there isn't a one size fit all. We all have different personalities, environments that we create and that we live by in our company. We're going to attract different kinds of people. And for us to be able to retain them long term, we have several things we have to do very, very well, especially in this environment with the great resignation and the labor shortage. If we do it just a little bit better than our competitor, we're going to be ahead of the game in a much bigger way.
Absolutely. Yep. Linda, in answer to your question, it's 1:00 start time Eastern, and it ends at 5:00. So it's 4 hours.
Yeah, that's what the ARCSI website has here. That's Eastern time.
Yeah. So it's a half a day boot camp, guys. Clear your schedule for after lunch.
And it's about an hour for me, an hour for Debbie, an hour for Liz. That's 3 hours. So there's
Q&A time.
Hours worth of questions that you can ask us as we're going along this too, which is phenomenal because there's a lot of things that we won't have time to put in the presentations that we have that you may want to ask, or there may be things we prompt that you want to ask. So there's a lot of time for that too. I think that's really a great value.
And
There's probably,
oh, go ahead, Debbie.
well, there's probably 120 years worth of experience right here on this call, right here.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say I'm responsible for only 20 of those years, but that would be a
Well,
lie.
maybe, you know,
But
Sean goes way back. You probably remember when the gas pumps didn't have.
he remembers
Yeah.
kerosene televisions, but there's probably 120 years worth of knowledge right here in this group. If each one of you spent all day with you, it still wouldn't be enough, but having a half a day to just knock out some of the most critical struggles that you have with attracting the right people, finding those A players, and really prototyping them to be good fit for your company and your culture and your systems. That right there alone is worth a half a day of training, guys. So anybody that's on the fence should join.
You know, it takes an investment. It always, anytime you want some type of a big return, you're going to have to invest something. 4 hours is such a small investment for the huge return that you could get.
And it's not about the money, right? It's
Right.
that it's cheap or it's free if you're a non-ARCSI member. All of us value our time more than a $99 investment, right? We waste more than that going out to dinner, maybe sometimes on a bottle of wine, but it's the investment of time. And if you invest in your brain, if you invest in your mind, your return is going to be exponentially higher than just the money itself.
And
I'd add to that it's going to be fun. There's two things. Number one,
how fun are we?
You know, you're going to hear.
Poor Tom, he can't get a word in.
You're going to hear stuff you've never heard before, and it's going to be entertaining. And I'm going to put on a little bit of a magic show in mine. In that I'm going to show you why the truth is almost impossible at times to find, and perceptions are sometimes way more important than truth. And I say that as a guy that had my nose in the Bible plenty of times, and I go to church on Sundays. I know the truth is a virtue and it's important, but I'm going to tell you how important perception is, and I'm going to have some games I'm going to play and show you things you've never looked at and how
Liz,
you're going
we
to look
got
at
to
it.
step up our game. This guy's got magic tricks. He's got
Top
juggle too.
Yeah.
Can you do
I
that?
mean,
I got all kinds of entertainment.
So Sean,
So Tom, when you want to talk, you're going to have to do this, Tom.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
seriously, just for the time component though, think about how many hours a week, a month you spend personally recruiting and other people on your team doing that. And you know, the whole turnover thing that kind of makes you have to recruit more, and taking 4 hours and investing into something that you'll get a return on this, you know, 100 times over the course of the year, just in terms of the time that this can potentially save you.
Exactly. The hours and hours and hours spent recruiting traded for a 4-hour boot camp that's going to turn that around.
And magic tricks on top of it. Come on, get
even
real.
better. Even better.
But I can't believe I have to go after Sean and his fancy magic tricks. I'm really going to have to come up with something
I'm
now.
sorry. I'm lucky.
Can you
I
make
get to go
animals out of
first.
balloons, maybe?
Balloon animals.
Ooh,
I
that
am
could be
so
fun.
much less professional than you, Liz and Debbie, that I have to do it Sean Day way.
Well, we can't wait because it sounds like a blast, and it sounds like really brilliant knowledge and experience that's not just pulled out of a magic hat, but is actually pulled from years and years of cultivating the experiences and documenting and tracking what works and what does not work, and just staying very critically in tune with the market and the economy, especially because you're a part of Blue Skies. It's really what you guys do. You're studying employee attraction and employee hiring. And so we expect you to be able to bring cutting edge ideas to all of us. And I love it.
And I'm really happy that you're going to be focusing in on that mindset. I'm joking that I don't want to have to come after you and your magic tricks, but the truth is I'm glad you're going to prime people with a good mindset, right? That's going to be awesome for me. People are going to be ready to hear the message that hopefully that I'm able to bring as well. Debbie, I know you always talk about mindset. I don't think I've ever heard you present about anything where you didn't bring up mindset at some point in time, because we all recognize critical, right?
Right. My very first talk, The Myth of the Great Resignation, is all about understanding what's reality versus what we imagine in our head. And I don't remember the exact quote, and I don't remember the exact person that quoted it, but there's a famous quote around 80% of success is mindset. And we think it's effort and answers, but 80% of success is mindset. And maybe it was Liz Trotter that said that, but whoever said that, it's true.
Yeah, wasn't me, but I agree with it.
Here's a very quick example of perception versus truth. If I'm standing in the rain right now and I have a shovel in my hand and my job is to dig a hole, I'm going to say, this rain stinks. I can't stand this. Why is it raining? 10 seconds later, I'll turn around because I hear these little kids in their diapers laughing and having a blast and just in those puddles. This is 10 seconds later. And I'll look at that and I will smile and think, my God, that is so awesome. Now, here's the craziness of this. You could put me on a lie detector when I was telling you that this rain stinks and I can't stand what's happening right now. And I will pass that lie detector test.
Yeah.
You could put me on the same lie detector when I turned around 10 seconds later and had a different perception 10 seconds later. I would pass that lie detector test as well. Tell me which one of those is true. They both are. Perceptions matter.
And perception is what causes action. So if my job is to dig a hole with difficult compacted sand with my shovel, once I discover the rain is not my enemy, the hole is easier to dig once it's soft and it's wet. I can grab that same stupid shovel and dig that hole faster, right?
Yep.
And so once our perception changes, then our actions change. It's like, boom, I can get this hole dug in half the time in the rain.
Brilliant. And
one more perception.
Oh, here we go, Liz.
One more. So if you're out there and you're digging in clay and the rain is actually making it better, you still have an opportunity to change your perception. Yes, the rain is causing this problem, but there are additional things that I could do. Maybe I shouldn't have a shovel.
Yeah, here's the benefits.
Maybe I just really need a pitchfork because this is so
right.
Right?
Exactly. What are the benefits?
Still, there's an opportunity there as long as you remember to look for it.
The action part of that is brilliant in that I'm going to go over the exact actions, how that relates to recruiting and interviewing and those sort of things. So I
can't tell you
thrilled.
how many of my struggling competitors' employees we've hired because they went out of business because they couldn't find workers, right? So when your perception changes, then your actions will change and you will get that hole dug in less time with less effort.
With less effort.
Yeah, with less effort.
Hey, thanks for that analogy. That was a good one.
Yeah,
another one.
I do on what's the date? The 10th?
March 10th.
All the analogies you want on March 10th. So apparently he's not open to our Facebook sidebars over here, Debbie.
We're trying to winkle it out of him, Liz, and it's not working. He's like a vault.
And
so,
isn't that funny thinking of Shawn Day as a vault? Because
it is. I never really thought of that before.
No, normally you can do anything.
Get the word out of them.
And
I just got a link to a better website, and I'm sharing it here. And I'm sorry, Debbie, not to cut you off, but this has got like all the details, Skinny, of what the event's about. And you guys have described all this, but for those of you that are maybe joining late and didn't hear the detailed explanation earlier, I dropped the link. I dropped it in chat.
Okay.
It's kind of long, Debbie.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
it's a long URL. Okay.
Yeah, events.issa.com, events.
Hiring dash the dash best dash employees dash
Never mind.
bootcamp dash smart.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
But it can, get all the details here. And it does say it's free for members, and reach out to Aaron to receive your free
That's
registration
amazing.
link. And it says non-members $99. However, if this will probably go away
Before
pretty
they get
soon
this
if you.
fixed, if you're not a member, I'm telling you, get on there right now before they get that
Yeah.
fixed, because you get it free.
They're going to
If you
fix
snooze-
that.
If you snooze, you lose on this.
They're absolutely fixing that. So
Excellent,
you better do it fast.
Well, I am
It's a
member,
technology
but-
glitch. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Right now, the industry of cleaning is experiencing one of the greatest booms we've ever seen. I mean, I've cut my marketing so much because our phone rings too much. Our lead gen is too high that we can't even keep up with it with the sales team we have. So this is the time to scoop up all the extra business. But if you don't have employees, then you're literally losing tens of thousands of dollars worth of growth that should have been yours. I can't believe how much we've grown to pre-pandemic growth. It's just, this is a booming time, guys. Fix your number one problem or improve it dramatically by attending.
And Tom talks about this a lot. It's not just we haven't talked about this recently, Tom, but you were hitting on this a lot, that this isn't a booming time for our individual companies. This is a booming time for our industry. Things are changing. People look at cleaning differently now than they ever have in the past. Now, when they think about cleaning, they actually think about clean.
Exactly.
For the longest
it's essential.
time. Yeah, it really is.
Professionalism means something now more so than it ever did.
Exactly.
And
all these cleaning companies that have struggled to say, I'm professional and that's why I charge more, right? It wasn't working before, but now it's more important.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tom.
there's a lot of money.
A lot of passion in
around
this
out there too. The demand for our services has never been higher.
Yes.
And
yeah,
there's not
all
much
the years I've been in business.
There's no pushback on rates either. Within bounds of reasonability, you can charge whatever you want to charge, and people aren't complaining.
Right. It's less about the price now. It is less about the price. And so obviously price can be a factor, especially if you, as the person trying to sell your service, make it a factor. But nowadays, right, now there's that mindset piece, Liz. People aren't shopping price. They're shopping safety. They're shopping stability, is what I heard is the big buzzword in the branding world. And obviously in the world of cleaning and disease and infection and all the things that people have been thinking about, people are shopping professionalism, like Tom just mentioned. Now, all things considered, all things equal, sure, price may be a factor, but in most cases, it's only all things equal because we make it equal. We just start quoting a price when people say, how much do you charge? Right now, that's a whole nother category, right? We could spend all day on sales training, which we do. We all both do.
It's interesting because it's supply and demand, like everything is in business, and capacity and demand and supply and demand. And we're in a place now where there is so much demand. You are not going to win by spending a too much time on your and too much money and resources on the demand side of it. The demand side is kind of there. Dan Platt, our bookkeeping guy, always talks about taking some of that budget from your sales and marketing and throw it into, you're going to win this game called business by the supply side, but which are employees. Demand is there if you've got a decent service, not a great service, a decent service. The demand.
If you're just average,
yes,
you can grow in a high demand market. So this is the time to not be average at hiring. So many cleaning companies are focused on being above average at delivery, right? They're focused on cleaning better than everyone else. But when we focus on being the best job, creating the best environment, finding the best workers, and keeping the best workers, when we become above average at the employee piece, we can scoop up customers with a shovel.
Yep.
Not a pitchfork, y'all.
Not a pitchfork.
Not for customers.
Yeah. We have to be amazing at the employee piece. That's our job as entrepreneurs. We cannot be mediocre at that. So many business owners want to be amazing at everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I always believe if you're not amazing at attracting and retaining the best workers, then you'll never grow to the potential that you actually could have all along.
We're, as entrepreneurs and business owners, we tend to be more focused on, which is good, growth, but in revenue. How many clients do we have now?
Quality.
How many clients do we have now? Oh, by the way, somebody go find an employee somehow and make sure we don't pay them too much. And it's like the biggest sale of your life is an employee, not Mrs. Jones. I mean, it truly is. The other thing I'll just add before we start coming to a close, and I need to shut my trap, is I talk to thousands of business owners every year, thousands and thousands like you guys do. And I hear two things that I just cringe about. And one of those things is, yeah, we just have a waiting list, and now we just tell customers we'll have to throw you on our waiting list. And my mind says,
I talked to somebody today with 12 people on a waiting list for 60 days.
How many hundreds of thousands of dollars is that?
Well, I showed her. You talked to 40. So 12 people on her waiting list, which is not as bad as the 40. 12 people, I pointed out to her, that's $38,400. That's $38,400 in revenue. She's basically putting on hold and will probably never get.
Never get. Yep.
Okay. My story is so much sadder. She has 40 people on a wait list, and she did price increases. She had over 10 people on her price increase list that were paying half of her actual price. And when she didn't lose them, she was happy.
Yeah, it's like, no, if you didn't run off your half price customers, if you didn't run them off, you did your rate increase wrong. Right? Your half priced ones. Your half priced ones.
But I have to make a point here.
Yeah.
This is how easy we all switch from thinking about our employees to switching over to our clients.
Mindset.
I'll do this. It is so easy to start thinking about our clients and to come off of that employee train. We're not going to let you do that. That's what the boot camp's about. We're going to get you focused, and we're going to get you paying attention to what needs to happen with your employees so that you don't just keep going back to the same thing that we've always done. We've always done that, right? Back in the day. Can't afford to do that anymore. And one more point I wanted to point out, not like Shawn, because I won't be shutting up. I don't know how you plan on doing that, Shawn. Good on you if you can. But this is something that's new too. So in the past, we were always trying to drive down our payroll percent to revenue. People were just driving it down. Not anymore. You can't drive that payroll percent to revenue down too low anymore. Now you have to be looking at what's the floor? What do we want to make sure that we keep our payroll percent to revenue above so that we're paying people enough that we're competitive in our markets and in our area? It's a different paradigm from what we've always done in so many different areas. So
that's a great
that was my last big one.
Those days are over, and I actually have never felt that way, right? Those days are over. Yeah. That you are measuring the success of your business by squeezing profit out of the very people who are delivering your services. Those days are gone. Your profit that you want to squeeze more profit out of have to come from a different place. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might just be having to raise your prices or cut the people that are paying half what you're charging to all of your new clients.
Exactly.
I don't know of a company that I've talked to that hasn't raised prices. So I think in this year, 2022, that price, that pay stuff isn't really a big issue anymore. If you haven't provided the raises that your employees need just to buy bread, that's gone up, 50%. If you haven't done that, you may not be in business right now. So I assume that if you're in business, you've done that already. And so you need to keep thinking about that. But there's so many other things, and both Liz and Deb have talked about it. Culture is, but I think outside of maybe leadership, which is so critical in business, I can't think of anything else really other than culture that's so critically important in recruiting as well, because the expectations and that job description is like a sales brochure for employees. If that doesn't meet what you're providing them when you hire them, retaining them, right? Well, you're doomed. You're absolutely doomed.
The environment you create in your company, whether it happens by accident and by default because you didn't have a plan, or it's a planned environment you create as a result of you living your values and tolerating nothing less than your values, is going to be one of the biggest factors in keeping staff long term. You can trick them into coming to work for you. You can talk people into coming to work for you. But if they discover you have a toxic environment that you don't know how to control, that you don't know how to deal with, if they learn really quick that the bad ones are the ones that get heard and the bad ones get away with murder, they don't even want to be one of your good ones. They're either going to leave or they're going to catch that contagious disease, because bad people are much more likely to rub off on good ones than good ones rubbing off on bad ones.
I wish that wasn't true.
It's true.
But it is. It is true. It would be nice if it wasn't.
Yeah.
So there is I can't remember. I was going to say something and it was going to come out all hatchety like I normally do.
Well, you're probably thinking along the lines of what Shawn just shared. Is there's a really fantastic book by Simon Sinek called The Infinite Game. And he talks in great detail around that employee culture and that environment that you as the leader create. So it's on me as the leaders to set the tone and create the environment. It is not anyone else's responsibility. And even today, I mean, I've been retired from my cleaning company now for over a dozen years. And all I do is coach the COO. No one answers to me. And it's still my job. It is still my responsibility to make sure that the culture or the environment and the tone of my business has been set to reflect the values that I have. I don't get to make the excuse, well, they do that, right? So no matter what level of leadership you have going on in your company, it's on us as the leader to create that environment where people feel like this is the best job I ever had, even though they're putting their hands in somebody's toilet every single day.
Yep.
Well, okay. I'm going to, Shawn, while you say what you were going to say, I'm going to read to you guys this. Go ahead, Shawn.
I saw a video that Simon did about making the point of some of the people that we are hiring are grew up in that. We're the first generation to grow up in that everybody gets a trophy just for participating in things like that. We're the first generation to grow up with that instant stuff. What do you mean you can't deliver that tomorrow? Then I'm not even going to buy it. I mean, I remember the Sears catalog that was this thick, and if you got something in 2 months in the mail, you were thrilled. That's not who these people are. And it's not their fault. That's how they were raised. That's how it happened. And so you need to decide if you're going to hire a generation that grew up in this instant gratification. That's just what they grew up in, this generation, not their fault.
Right.
We produce that generation, that those parents produce that generation. And Simon makes the point is go through what you go through to get them. And there's, like we talked about, several different ways you can recruit, but
and they're not necessarily entitled. They're just different.
Right.
We relate differently.
And his point is leadership. It's your leadership that's going to explain to them these things. And here's why we are a little different with our culture than what you might be used to.
We're pressing against the top of the hour. Liz, did you have one thought you wanted to share?
I did. So speaking to all of this, you guys, this is something that one of my employees shared. I don't know if you can see it. It was from 8 years ago. And this speaks to what Debbie just said too. This is what she reposted, remember, from 8 years ago. It feels so good to feel important. I mentioned an issue to my boss, Liz, one which she could have just ignored since it probably wouldn't affect my work or her. Instead of disregarding it or putting it off, she immediately addressed it, came up with some solutions, and asked me what I thought. Wow, she's the most caring boss I ever had. Here's the thing, y'all. She says, I love cleaning poop off toilets just so I can work for her.
Do you see? That sums it up.
That's
People can throw nasty fish in a fish market, or they can clean toilets and still love what they do. We don't need to blame it on nobody wants to work, nobody cares. We need to look inward and say, what am I doing or not doing as a leader that I can change now? So the ARCSI Bootcamp, the hiring bootcamp that kicks off March 10th, a half a day of training from 1 Eastern time all the way to 5 p.m. Eastern time is worth your time, guys. Be there or be square.
And the promotion and all the back end stuff to this program is being developed as we speak. Just as over the last hour, there's a new page on the ARCSI website, arcsy.org/bootcamp22. I dropped that link, and you can sign up through the ARCSI page. I think they're still working on it.
Go now. Go now before they get that.
Yeah. Repeat it,
arcsy.org/bootcamp22.
Bootcamp 22. So guys, that's easy to remember. You better go register now before somebody figures out that you can get in for free. I love it. arcsi.org.
Okay, guys, we are at the top of the hour. Boy, an hour goes by fast, doesn't it?
Well, we have
this is the easiest hour I've had all day.
Well, you couldn't talk if you wanted to, Tom. You got these 3 high eyes in Liz's disc profile. You got these 3 high eyes that you can't get a word in edgewise. So, guys, you can tell I'm high facilitator on Kobe, but. Guys, thank you so much for letting us do this. I love so much sharing this information and working with these worthy colleagues, these incredible experts. And we're going to do the best we can to help you scoop up some of this extra business so you can make more money and live better.
And remember, we didn't even know that there was a charge. We're not doing this for money. We're doing it.
None of us are getting paid. We're not getting paid a dime, but we love it. And we love helping people solve their problems.
So be there, like Debbie said, or be square.
So we are done for today. We'll be back Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern. I think Sharon Timberg is going to be our guest on Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
And we're going to be talking about employee engagement. So take care. We'll see you Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.